you mind telling me
What's
who the
happening, y'all? It's
masked
your boy,
man
the
is?
Big Ugly Man Dog, and I'm back with another episode of Big Ugly Opinion. And I got a video, and y'all not gonna believe what I just saw. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I'm gonna level with you. I'm gonna chop it up and talk in between some of the parts because this needs to be broken down swiftly but concisely. We're gonna get right into it. Give me your like on the way in, a comment, a share, and subscribe. Now, this video here, this woman discusses virginity and says it is a myth. It doesn't really exist. There's no such thing as virginity, but you ain't got to take my word for it. Check it out here.
What is it? And what's the big deal about losing it? Let me cut to the chase. Virginity is a completely made-up concept.
What the fuck? Now I'm going to stop you right there, Ham Hock, because you don't know what you're talking about. That sounds like someone who either lost their virginity really early or still hasn't lost it yet. I don't know. But it's absolutely ridiculous, the fact that she says virginity is made up. Virginity is simply one who hasn't partaken in sexual acts yet. And it's a real thing. It really does literally exist. But of course, a stupid liberal would say something like that. Continue.
It's a term that was created simply to control and shame people, mainly women.
I gotta stop you again, you unsmart person. No, it's literally an actual thing. It's not made up and it's not created to shame. It's a state of being. You're either virgin or you are not. Now, this is an argument that I would guess would be created by someone who was promiscuous, aka a slut. Because they say these things in order to take away from the fact that they made mistakes in life. If you are shamed for something you have done, quite possibly it's something that you should be ashamed of. They want to get rid of shame. And that's the reason her body looked like that. She's not ashamed of looking terrible, so she walks around with it proudly. We need to bring shame back. Okay, that will fix a lot of things. People would stop thinking it's okay to walk around not only looking so ridiculous, but saying stupid lies like virginity was created to shame someone. No, virginity already existed. They just put a word on it. Simple-minded sap.
A virgin is someone who's never had sex.
So you said it doesn't exist, and then you gave the clear textbook definition, which means you understand the concept already. So what you're saying is not that it doesn't exist, is that you don't agree with the concept, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to agree with facts. You don't have to agree with facts, but it doesn't change them. It's still right there staring you dead in your face, along with all those mistakes you made that you're clearly trying to cover up.
But it's not as simple as it seems.
It really just is, Marmaduke. It really just is that simple.
For one thing, medically, virginity isn't a real thing. In some cultures, people place a lot of importance on the hymen, a thin, fleshy tissue located at the opening of your vagina, as a marker of virginity. But the status of your hymen doesn't actually mean anything.
It kinda actually does mean something. It means you haven't been penetrated. How simple is that? But how you try to misconstrue it and make it super complicated. It's really that simple. This is the anti-purity argument. I've seen it before, right? People say, oh, purity is basically shaming women out of having sex. Well, you know what? Here's the facts behind that. There was a time where women weren't so easy. Simple as that. And it was simply because society stated that there was a way that a woman should carry herself in order to be respectable. And you are trying to do away with said respect because you want everybody to be a bunch of evil, nasty, whorish degenerates. And you want them to not be ashamed of it. Well, you're not going to get that outcome. It's not going to happen. Shame, shame, shame.
Another reason the idea of virginity is complete nonsense is that sex means different things to different people.
Well, unfortunately for you and that goofy logic, sex is not subjective, okay? It's either sex or it is not sex. Very, very simple. You can try to muddy it up and try to complicate it and make it this super difficult thing to comprehend. No, sex is exactly that. In one of the holes, sex is how it goes. Pause. But that's just what it is. It's not complicated or difficult to understand, okay? Stop lying.
Generally speaking, society tends to define sex in a very narrow way: penetration, penis into vagina. But where does that definition leave queer people?
You know, I'm not an expert on queer people, but I'm pretty sure that they got the same body parts and the same holes. So if you put something in one of them Jones, it's sex. See how easy that is? I just fixed it. Now you don't have to look so stupid.
And not everyone's first sexual experience is consensual.
Well, I just want to let you know, in the unfortunate event that someone's first sexual experience is not consensual, that still does define it as sex. So, like, what are you getting at here?
There is also a double standard on who carries the burden of virginity. Society puts pressure on men for not having sex at the exact same time they shame women for having it.
You know, one might say that the reason why girls are shamed for having sex and men are shamed for not having sex, you know, it's a carnal nature that's inside of us. You know, our nature tells us that we are the hunters, and it's in woman's nature to be very discriminative. You know, they don't just let anyone in, right? So, though I do agree that little boys shouldn't be taught to go out there and hit everything they can that's moving, that ain't nailed down. I agree, we shouldn't be taught that. But on the flip side, women should absolutely not be taught that they should go out and act like the boys, because that is detrimental to them, because they're the ones that'll end up with children that they have to raise, likely on their own. Do you want little girls to run out and catch a bunch of STDs? Right? You don't want these things happening. This is bad advice. Do not listen to this woman.
Either way, shame has no place in someone's personal decisions about sex.
That's a lie. There are a lot of shameful acts that are committed when you're dealing with sex. A lot of things should be shamed and discouraged. This is the downfall of society right here. When they tell you that anything you want to do that makes you feel good is okay to do. That's just not the truth. I do not subscribe to such an idea.
What if instead of losing something, we reframe it as gaining?
I'm sure that's a concept you can get behind. Based on your body shape, you ain't lost nothing, but you've gained a lot. Ooh, yeah.
Because the truth is, when we make our own decision to become sexually active, we aren't setting ourselves up to lose anything at all.
How stupid can you be? There's a lot you can lose from having sex when you should not be having sex. She acts as if she never grew up on this planet. I mean, how many people do you have to see ruin their lives because of sex before you understand that there is a lot to lose when you choose to engage in sex before it is appropriate for you? This is evil advice.
We hope we are gaining things like intimacy, self-insight, pleasure, and empowerment. All of these myths around sex and virginity can be so hurtful and overwhelming. But here's the one truth you should remember. Sex is defined by one thing and one thing only: you.
Yeah, that's a really, really liberal ideology right there. Basically, you can take the real definition of it and trash it, and then you can define it as whatever you want to define it as. How absolutely ridiculous. Sex is defined by the literal technical terms that exist. These words have a meaning, and if you don't use them for that meaning, then you have a word that means nothing, because it can't mean everything, or it's not even a word. It doesn't have a definition. These words have definitions because they mean something. When you say the word, you got to know what the word is and what it means. This ridiculous nonsense she's talking about, this got to be the most deluded person. First of all, Who made her the expert on this topic anyway? She's obviously not that smart. I wouldn't listen to her, but that's just my big ugly opinion. I'm the big ugly man, dog, and I got to get up out of here. That lady that made me sick. Gotta go. Peace.
Do you mind telling me who the masked man is?
A big ugly